All right, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to Monday's kickoff call. We got an exciting call planned for you guys today because we're going to go over last week's top 10 along with going over last month's top 10 for net issued business. So I know so many of you guys just locked in that qualification for Cancun and coming down the pipeline here over the next 2 months, heck, really month and a half at this point, already being in the middle of November. So many more of you are on track or so close to hitting that trip. So let's keep running hard towards the end of this month. But you're also going to get to hear from an agent who did over $17,000. And I was talking to him earlier today, and he has a lot of really good strategies and tips for you guys so that you could find that success too. So make sure that you tune in for the duration of this call because it's going to help you guys out quite a bit. But without further ado, let's go over last week and some agents that went big, finding themselves in the top 10. I cut it down to the top 10 because we have two sections of numbers to go over today. But coming in at number 10, we had none other than Doug Taylor. I feel like Doug is always in the top 10. So nice work to him. Jenna Huzzy again, finding herself in the top 10. Julie is always up there being in the top 10. Big shout out to Paulo being in the top 10 again this week, just like last week. Jess Graham in the top 10 like always. We had Kay, who you guys got to hear from on Friday's call. Was a phenomenal call. Go back and listen to it if you've not had a chance to check it out yet. Kay had an awesome week last week. Jody with a phenomenal week like always. Jennifer Garner crushing it like she always does. Big shout out to Aaron having an amazing week. Big shout out to Ray for another big week. And then huge shout out to Dennis for going over $17,000 last week. So you guys are going to get to hear from him shortly here. So top 10 on the week last week. You guys dominated it. Way to go out there. Let's go over the net issued production for some sales leaders for last month. So guys, we're getting into the winter months, right? People aren't wanting to be out there as much, right? It's getting colder. It's getting darker out earlier, but these agents still found a way to win and put their name at the top of the chart. So big shout out to Kelly. She came in at number 10, putting her name up there. Way to go, Kelly. Big shout out to Joni. Joni's always in the top 10. She came in at number 9 last month with a phenomenal month for her. Paulo dominating it like always. He's in the top 10 week to week, and it's not a surprise he's in the top 10 for net issued as well. Jody with a huge month last month. Again, big shout out to Kirk finding himself in the top 10. Becky, the rookie of the year of last year, in the top 10 like always. Julie, another big month for her. Jenny Ivy, shout out to her. She came back with a vengeance, had an amazing month, just going well over 15K for her. So nice job to you, Jenny. Stephanie, putting her name at number 2 on the month. I feel like there's been multiple months here recently where Stephanie has been in the top 3 when it comes down to the net issued numbers for the month. So nice job to you, Stephanie. And then taking home number 1 is no surprise. It's the current agent of the year running so far. Aaron Lunsford went big, just shy of 30K. So phenomenal job to you guys. Go to the WhatsApp chat. Give them a big congratulations for putting their name up there. It takes a lot of hard work to put your name at the top of that chart month in and month out. So nice work to you guys there. On today's call, real quick, before we jump into getting to hear from Dennis and how he had a phenomenal week last week, wanted to talk to you guys about this word, okay? This word that is like a curse word for insurance agents, and that's failure. And I want to really change your perspective on what this word means for you as an agent, right? So go to WhatsApp, go to the agency chat, put in the chat, what do you think of when you hear the word fail? Like if I asked you if you were succeeding or failing, what would you think of? So for the longest time, I always viewed this word like I wasn't doing good enough, right? Like I was falling short of my goal. But if you guys change your perspective of it and you take this word in terms of working out, okay? So if you've ever gone to the gym, or you've had a personal trainer, chances are you've probably heard them talk about doing a rep until the point of failure, which means you're literally doing it until you just physically cannot do it anymore, right? It doesn't mean that you lost, all right, or that you didn't succeed. It means that you worked yourself to the point that you just physically can't do that exercise anymore. All right. And I want you guys to take this word and write it down, because when you're out there in the field or you're dialing, right, and you're on the phones, you want to run towards the point of failure. Okay. If you're not, quote unquote, failing every single day as an agent, you're really not giving it your all. You're not trying hard enough. Right. And so don't be afraid to run this business till you can't do it anymore. Right. There was many days out there in the field where I would end my day and I was just mentally exhausted, mentally could not do it anymore. Right. But you ran to failure, right? In terms of working out, if you run to failure every single day and every single exercise, you actually experience the most growth because you're pushing yourself past the limits, right? So think of the word fail. Think about it when you reach the point where you can't complete another rep, all right? And that's it, whether it's dialing on the phone or giving a presentation out there in the field, that's what you want to run towards. So jumping into this, what's the difference between losing versus failing? Okay, there's a big difference here, guys. Failing is like we just talked about. You run until you can't run no more, right? Losing is giving up on yourself. There's a big, big difference, okay? Losing in this industry is not holding yourself accountable, right? Not going out into the field or making those phone calls like you said you were going to do. Not investing in the leads like you said you were going to do, not giving as many presentations in a week as you set for yourself when you started the week. That's going to cause you to lose, right, in this industry. But if you focus on running towards failing, okay, that's when you're going to see the most success. So I want you guys to differentiate this. I want you to look at your week, last week. Look at your year so far, year to date, as we're coming up on the close of it. Have you been succeeding, all right, or have you been losing? All right, think about that. There's a difference. You're not failing if you're not running to the point where you can't run anymore, right? That's just losing. So think about that in terms of what your activity looks like, in terms of what your schedule looks like, of what your production looked like for last month. Everybody should have the production report for last month. So look at your numbers and identify, like, where are you either succeeding or where are you falling short? All right, my last tip before I kick it over to Dennis is running to failure. It's one of the hardest things to do because your brain naturally does not want to do it, right? Your brain naturally has a tendency to want to stop you way before you hit the point of failing. Okay, I'll share a little story with you guys. Back in 2012, all right, I had just gone through boot camp. I went through the School of Infantry. I think I was like a month or two into the fleet in the Marines. And we were doing this little field exercise, this training exercise. And people came up and they were taking names down for people that wanted to try out to go from the regular infantry battalion or platoon to try out to go to the sniper platoon, right? And I raised my hand and volunteered for that. And fast forward a few weeks, right, we were in this screening process, right, where you had to do a bunch of tests. You had to compete against other Marines to see who would get admitted into the sniper platoon. And one of the very first things that one of the leaders did there was they took all of us on a run, right? I think there was like 20 or 30 of us, if I remember right. And one of the snipers just started running, and our job was to just follow him. And we had no idea how long we were going to be running for. We didn't know, right? But he just ran and ran and ran what seemed like forever. And along this run, people started quitting, right? They started getting out of breath, giving up. They'd quit, right? They'd go back to their normal platoon. Well, by the time we got to the end of this run, I think there was like 5 of us left. And we didn't know when the finish line was, all right? And eventually, I just ran to the point that I completely fell over. Like, I could not even move my legs anymore. But I sat there for like 30 seconds, got up, and then I just like, I'd like to say I was running, but I was really probably crawling / like surviving my way to the finish line. And pretty much every other person was doing the same thing at this point. And when we got to the end, right, what they were actually looking for is what Marines were going to run to the point of fouling and then keep going anyway, right? Pushing past their limits, right? And I was able to get into that platoon along with a few other people. But it wasn't because we were the fastest, wasn't because we were the strongest. We were just the people that were mentally tough enough to actually run to the point of completely fouling, right? Completely just falling over because you couldn't move anymore. Everybody else quit way before they got to that point. So if you're doing this job, all right, run to fail. Like when you're out there in the field, don't just run to get 2 presentations in, right? Guys, think about it. If you're out there for 8 hours, and you've done 2 presentations, what did you do at the other 6 hours of the day, right? Run to do 6 presentations, 7, 8. All right. I remember I used to hit this plateau of only like being able to sit with 2 or 3 people a day. And I knew if I could double that, I would double my income. I'd double my production. I'd double the amount of people that I was helping. And so I started setting appointments, right? And I took that 2 to 3 presentation a day to like 6 or 7 a day, and doubled all of my numbers within the same time frame. But it was because I was running to fail, right? I was trying to push past my limits. So as we go into this week and into the end of November, think about that. Guys, if you want to hit your promotion, you want to hit the Cancun trip, all you have to do is run to fail. And if you can push yourself to that limit every single day, you're going to see some huge numbers show up. So hope that helps you guys up a little bit. I'm going to remove this here and I'm going to add Dennis to the live feed here. So Dennis, what's up, man?
Hey, you got me?
Hey, I got you, buddy. Thanks for jumping on here, dude. So first off, hats off to you, man. Phenomenal week last week, over 17,000. I saw you in the agency chat, just picture after picture with clients, helping them out throughout the week, man. So just give everybody at FFA just a brief introduction, man. How'd you find yourself in insurance and who are you?
So, yeah, I'm Dennis. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, locally out of Michigan or Detroit, like 15, 20 minutes outside of Detroit. I got licensed in insurance August 2020. One of my best friends was in the industry. He was like, "You're a really, personal person. I think you could kill it." So I kind of went on a ride along, saw the opportunity, got my license, and kind of never looked back. And how I ended up at FFA was Buddy Lawhead. I built up a good relationship with him. He was one of my really good friends. And yeah, kind of just was checking in with him, and he was telling me that, it's new experience, different kind of, how would I say, different message maybe. Because after 4 or 5 years at the same type of place, it kind of gets complacent after a while. So, I love the new energy. I love everyone that we work with, and I'm just excited to get after it.
That's awesome, man. Now you were telling me, I know when we were talking on the phone, that you used to work like in the automotive tool industry, and you would just slave away. So give everybody kind of an idea of like where that work ethic comes from.
Yeah, so in high school, I wasn't the 4.0 GPA type of person. In elementary school, my parents, before I went to high school, they gave me 2 options. They said you can go to military school or all Catholic boys school. And I was like, all right, I'll stay home and go to the all Catholic boys school. So I went there, 2.0. And then after that, I was like, I'm not going to waste money going to college, because that's just not for me. I always was like fixing cars with my dad and fixing stuff with him. So I knew I was mechanically inclined. So I ended up getting an apprenticeship at a place that was about an hour and a half away from my house, for automotive tool building, for like robotic assembly lines for Ford, GM, Chrysler. So I'd wake up around like 4-ish every morning, drive an hour and a half, get there by 5:30, work until 5-6 p.m. I was telling Ryan, if there was clients like that would test the machines and whatnot from Ford or GM, we'd have to stay until 8-9 p.m. until they were satisfied. So there was weeks that I'd be working 70, 80, 90 hours a week, maybe not 90, but 70, 80 hours a week, really just, and with drive time, just having absolutely no life. So when I, saw this opportunity and, saw how fruitful it could be. And if you hold yourself accountable and you're disciplined, it can really be definitely life-changing. So
That's awesome, dude. I love the drive behind that. I can relate to that. Now you're up north. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, right? It's like the only jobs you can get up there is like healthcare or like the auto industry. It seems like it's very limited. So like give everyone an idea, man. I know you're up there working near Detroit and in Michigan. What's it like working in the winter up north? Like I know a lot of agents are in the South, so they can't even relate to that. But there's a lot of people that watch this that might be from those northern states. They're like, how is he crushing that like that? So what's that like?
So I was thinking the same exact thing, especially when I got licensed in 2020, because that's when COVID was happening. And so like the first January was rolling around, and I was like, dude, this is going to be horrible. Like these people are definitely not going to come to the door. It's going to be freezing. And that January, I issued 46,000, and that was like the first 6 months of even me knowing the business. So it was like a huge account. Like that, I was like mind blown. So I just was under the assumption I'd just go out there every day, and I was just like, it's so cold that they have to be home. Like if I'm just willing to bundle up at the door and just keep knocking, like they're home. They're gonna have to eventually come to the door. So I usually just knock, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just here to drop off your benefits. It's really cold. Do you mind if I step in real quick? And I literally just like do the look at my shoes and kind of just assume my way in. And they just kind of let me in, especially in the wintertime.
That's awesome, dude. I love taking the situation and then using it as a way to get in, right? I know it's down here's the same thing. Like we get a lot of hurricanes and stuff and a lot of rain and wind, and a lot of agents are like, oh, I'm not going to go out. But I'm like, right now is the perfect time to go catch all those people you could never catch at home that need your help. So that's awesome, dude. Well, hey, dude, let's jump into this, man. So $17,000 last week. And I know I was looking at the group chat, right? And you posted some awesome tips yesterday. Let's dive through those, man. Share those with everybody. What kind of tips do you have for an agent that's looking to have a big week this week?
So yeah, I'm really key on, I love to have like a very organized and strategic, free flowing week. I want to know exactly what I'm doing, the outcome, everything like that. I'm just like OCD like that. I love knowing that. It gives me security. So I always say the separations and the preparation. And that starts usually on Saturday and Sunday. So on those days, I'm always making sure that I'm having enough leads. They're routed, they're purchased, enough leads, not just for like 2 days, 3 days. I want to make sure that I'm buying leads for the whole entire week. I don't even want to think about having, to pick another zip code and reroute and restart and try and go over here to go over here. I don't want my mind to even, I just want my mind to be on knocking and sales and talking to people the whole week. So I start off by making sure I have enough leads printed, routed, organized. And then I also go through my book of business with birthdays. And anyone that has a birthday, I put them on my whiteboard. I make sure that I call them, wish them a happy birthday, because you'd be very surprised how many of these older people, like, they don't get calls from even their kids or their family that are there for their birthday. So when I call them on their birthday, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like jaw dropping for them, and it makes their day. And I love doing it. And I do my best to save their birthday in my actual phone contact, because then it'll link up with your Apple Calendar. So I can just open that up and it says Betty Jones birthday, 64th birthday. And that's how it'll make it a little bit easier for me. So I'll make a list of leads, older clients, pick the area, and then any pending apps that may want to underwriting, anything like that. I write it on my whiteboard, make sure to call the company to get the requirements taken care of Monday morning so that I don't have to think about it throughout the week. And what else? That's really for the preparation before the field. I mean, just being like ready before the morning. I like to just like wake up super early, get to the gym, eat breakfast, have everything done. And I like to be on this call while I'm driving to my first house. So it's putting me in the mindset of already knocking and already working. I don't want to be sitting here at my house and then go listen to music on a 45-minute drive and completely twist my brain to, not be in the zone. But that's before the field. That's what I usually try and do.
Those are all golden tips, man. I think I think it's such a crucial thing to get yourself in like the right mentality. Like you're almost preparing for like a sporting event or like a game or something. Like you're trying to get in the zone. You know, I think one thing I could tell just from talking to you is like your level of focus when you're in the field, like that's what you're doing. You know, you're just focused on hitting the next lead, hitting the next house. Like I love that you've got enough leads for the week. One of my biggest pet peeves is when agents like are on like Tuesday, they're like, well, I don't have any more leads for the week, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what'd you do on Sunday? Like get 30 or 40 leads, you know? And what I found, guys, if you struggle with that, if you're like, well, I'm only going to buy 5 or 10 leads because of a money issue, right? You actually end up spending more money in leads, in gas, and in time by only buying 5 to 10 at a time, but doing it like 6 times a week. You're better off just like doing one big chunk. You know, I got to the point where I would order all my leads for a month, like once a month. I would drop like $4,000 and just get all kinds of leads coming in. And then that way I just had them scheduled out for like the whole, because I was just like, you just like, I don't even want to think about it. You know, I just want it to be there. So
I was doing that
that's
exact same thing when I first started. I'd buy like 20, 30 leads at a time. And then like after the first year, I was like, are you planning on quitting or leaving? I'm like, no. So like, bro, buy enough, like buy thousands. Like, you're going to use them. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's kind of what I came down to. I'm just like, this is crazy. Unless you think you're going to quit or stop knocking or something, you're going to need
for
them.
sure, man. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I noticed the same thing, you know, because I would get leads for the next week. And it would be a house that I had driven by like 10 times the week before. So I'm like, well, dang, if I would have had that last week, I'd have saved all that time. So the more you can stack that in your favor, the better, man. So let's jump into like, you know, we talked about the preparation. Let's talk about just being out there like in the field. What tips you have for them at that point?
Yeah, so when absolutely love the field, and the first thing that I focus on is like we were just going over, keeping a positive energy and a positive mindset. Because believe it or not, these older seniors, they read us just as much as we can read them. So if I'm coming to the door with my shoulders shrugged or like I'm acting like I'm not really like just knocking maybe once or twice and hey Ryan, I'm the benefits coordinator here to drop your benefits off. Like that's never ever going to be, you're never going to be in the house. So it starts with your door, walking out of your door in a high energy mood, ready to help people out. Doesn't matter their situation, their house, how much they're going to pay, whether it's $5 or $500. Just go out there, try and find a friend and help them out. So that's the first thing that I try and do. Keep a positive mindset. Try and not get stuck too much on windshield time. And, you know, if there is, I just try not to even set my leads up like that. But if I do have a lot of windshield time, I try and call people in the business, my manager, to keep my head in the game. You know, maybe if I didn't close the sale, I can refresh with them on why I didn't close the sale going forward. So instead of just like, you know, putting on music and just like blaring it out and going to the next house, like I always have the mindset of whatever door I knock on, there's some angle I can help them out. Some angle, unless they're like very sick and I can't get them approved. That's the only angle that like I can't help you. If you have a policy, if you have an annuity, anything, there's always some type of angle, you know, cash value, loans, consolidation. There's so many different ways, but that would be keeping a positive mindset. And then the second most important thing to me personally is qualifying the client early on. You know, when I first started in the industry, I'm just such a caring person. I would just sit with these people for hours on hours on hours. And then I come to find out, get into the beans and potatoes. And then they're just like, yeah, you can put me in the backyard. I'm like, oh no, you don't want to be like nothing, not even cremated. Like, oh no. So basically qualifying them early on. What I mean by that, their health, the banking, making sure they're the decision maker, making sure, you know, they're running their show. So qualifying the client early on. And then also I use a thing called, it's just easy for me to remember, VULT, VULT. And I use VULT stands for value, urgency, likability, and trust. And when I'm going through my presentation, if I feel like if I'm stuck on a step, because some of the clients we sit with, they try and just like get to the point. Ryan, how much is it? Like, what are we doing here? So like they try and like skew you off your game. So like I'll do what they want for 2 seconds and then I'll go back. If I don't feel like I've built up enough value, urgency, likability, and trust, I revert back to what I was doing. I'll do what they want for a little bit, but I'll go back to make sure that I build that up, because I know when I get to the closing or the price or calling their company, if I don't do it this exact way, it's not going to work. It's just, I know it's happened so many times that I just know my system and it works for me. But, and then another thing in the field is just any activity that you can, whether it's T-knocks, door knocks, referrals, birthdays. I always call through my clients, and like I was saying, in my route, when I route my leads, wonder if I can show this to you guys. So I use a thing called Knock It Pro, and basically it's like a system where you can upload all your leads into, and it's just a routing system basically. But what I did with mine, I kind of took it a step further, and every time I have a client, I make a new icon for them. And when I'm in that area, I always make sure to stop by, pop my head in, say hello. Doesn't matter if I sold them a year, 2 years ago, or 3 months ago. I always stop in to show my face again. And I always ask them, hey, Ryan, since the last time I sat with you, have you taken out any other insurance policies? Because last week, literally 3 people because I don't like to oversell people. There's no point of writing the business. If you're writing it, if you want to keep it. So I'm the person, I'd rather sign you up for 40, 50, $60 and then double back around in 6 months and, do the right thing instead of getting a charge back and stressing these people out. So I'll go back. Hey, Ryan, have you taken out any other type of insurance since the last time I saw you? And then 3 people added another like BS graded policy that they never call us. They love us. I know they mean it in their heart. They want to like deal with us only. But when it comes to like they see an advertisement or something on TV, they just call and get it and don't let you know. So if you're not checking on that or double backing to see checking in with them, just like missing out on a lot of money. So
yeah, that's gold right there. I know when you showed me that, like I'll be honest with you, that's a tip I completely took away from you. I'm going to steal it from you today when we were talking on the phone earlier of how you in your route planner have your existing clients there, right? Like that's such a good idea because it's just like you said, but there's been so many times where, you write a client a year ago, 2 years ago, 3, and then you follow back up with them, right? And they took out like 5 more insurance plans. And you're like, why didn't you call me? Like you're paying all this stuff that is horrible. You shouldn't even be paying on that. Like you're waiting 2 years. You don't need to be, right? So that's such a great way of just checking in on people, man. I love how like client oriented you are. I could tell that you actually care about the people you sit with. And I think that's why I know that's why you've got the success that you have because they can sense that just like you said. So that's awesome, man. Wonderful tips there. Dennis, what's a closing goal for you, right, man? Like I know you're just getting kicked off here. What do you see yourself running towards in 2025? What are some goals you got set?
Are you talking like numbers wise or just in business life?
Hey, whatever you got.
So I really want to start team building again, and recruit and help people, and do things of that sort. But I want to just focus on writing as much business as possible for the time being, and kind of like at my other place that I was working at, like I was grinding so hard that my quality of life just like wasn't. The money is cool, like that's it depends on who you are, but like I'd rather choose the quality of life than being completely stressed out and doing stuff like that. So I'm just kind of just going with the flow, and but yeah, my goal is to just keep killing it, help you guys. I'm willing to take calls from anyone on the team, any tips, calls, anything like that. I'm an open book, so that's about it, but ready to kill it with you guys.
That's awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. I know there's big things in store for sure. So I appreciate you jumping on here, man, and sharing that wisdom with us. And hats off to you for just crushing last week, buddy. So I appreciate you guys for jumping on here, guys. If you have any questions, follow-up questions for Dennis, you can drop them in the WhatsApp chat. I know he'd be glad to answer them. But thank you guys for spending some time with us today. Dennis, appreciate you for jumping on here, man.
Absolutely. Have a good week, guys.
You too, buddy.